We are back, and it is just days away from UFC Fight Night Noche. Diego Lopes versus Gene Silva, which means it's time for me to break down every single fight on this card, starting with the first fight, going all the way up to the main event of the evening. Diego Lopes versus Gene Silva. An absolutely incredible and amazing fight. This is going to be... I'm on edge for this one, man. I don't know right now how this fight's going to go, but I'm going to be breaking down what I think's going to happen, who I think's going to win at the end of the video, because we're starting with the first fight, working our way up the card. So let me jump right into it with Rodrigo Sezinando versus Daniil Donchenko. I think I got to go with Daniil Donchenko. He seems to have a reach and a height advantage on Sezinando, despite it not being really listed on Topology. They've done like face-off pictures with the Ultimate Fighter season, and Donchenko looks to be the bigger guy, and he's got a bit more finishing. I think he's got a bit more finishing potential, and I think he's gonna score a knockout win over Sezinando. I didn't watch every episode of Tough. I'm not gonna lie. I've tried to catch up on the important bits after the season ended. But, you know, I think Donchenko is going to be able to get this one done by KO in the first or second round. I'll say round 1 over Sezinando. Moving on to the second fight of the card. Alice Pereira versus Monserrat Rendon. This is not Poeton's sister. This is not Poeton's sister. This is a different Pereira. I don't know much about this girl. Monserrat Rendon is nothing special, though. She's only had 2 UFC fights. She beat Tamiris Vidal by split decision. And Daria Zelezniakova is, I mean, that's kind of that's a bad loss, I'd say. 68-inch reach against Alice Pereira, who's a 5-0 prospect. 3 of her wins are KO, 1 of them submission, 1 of them decision. I don't know, man. I think this is going to be a bad night in the office for Monserrat Rendon. I wish I could find a reach. I'm not even going to try to find a reach, because last time I tried to find the reach of someone, I kind of got wrong information. You know, I looked up the reach of Axel Sola last week in my prediction video. I found out it was 71 inches of reach before UFC said it was 74 inches of reach on the Saturday night. So I got wrong information before the fight, so I'm not going to look up the reach. Alice Pereira, I think she's going to win this one over Monserrat Rendon. I'm going to say it goes to a decision. Rendon is still pretty tough, but you never know. Alice Pereira, maybe she gets it done. She is pretty young. Maybe she's a bit too young to beat up a girl of Monserrat Rendon's caliber. Who knows? But I'm going to say she's going to be able to beat up Monserrat Rendon to a decision win. Moving on, Alessandro Costa versus Alden Corria. I'm going to go with Alessandro Costa. Who is this Alden Corria guy? Where are you coming from, buddy? Fury FC? I don't know many of these names. I need to start watching more regional stuff, man, because I don't know this dude at all. But I think Costa's very good. He's a -400 here in this slot. Same reach. 4 inches of height advantage for Alden Corria, so that's an interesting thing here. But I still think Alessandro Costa, he's a little bit too polished. His losses in the UFC, Steve Erceg and Amir Albazi, are pretty high-level fighters. I think he's going to be able to beat Alden Corria. How am I going to say he beats him? By a decision. It'll go to a decision, I think, most likely. Or Costa gets like a submission win. He shows kind of levels that in that route, but I'm not too sure. I think Alessandro Costa wins a decision. Moving on to the fight of the night. Zachary Reese versus Sedrique Dumas. This is just, oh my god, I cannot wait for this one. Sedrique Dumas is posting about his bankroll, and he has set $13 in his account coming up into this fight. Listen, I don't that doesn't matter to me. This dude's Zachary Reese is going to beat him the fuck up and send him packing to whatever he wants to do. If it wants to be wearing an ankle monitor, Zachary Reese is going to knock this dude the fuck out. I promise you, Zachary Reese is the play here. He's a minus 275 for a reason. He beat Dusko Todorvic in his last fight by unanimous decision. He did lose to Azamat Bekaev earlier this year, but I think that this was the original fight that was booked back in February before he fought Azamat Bekaev on, I think it was short notice. He's going to beat the fuck out of Sedrique Dumas. Sedrique Dumas, I don't know how he's honestly still in the company. He's getting a lot of leeway, is the right word. He is at a 2-inch reach advantage here. 2-inch height disadvantage. Zachary Reese is the play for sure. He's got strong hands. He made Jose Medina look like a chump in that fight. And I get it, Jose Medina is the walking punching bag. But Zachary Reese, he landed a lot of strikes on that guy. And Sedrique Dumas, I mean, what was his last win? Dennis Tululin, Abu Azaitar, Cody Brundage. I mean, there's a common win in both of them, Cody Brundage, but not a common win. I forgot what actually happened. No, clip that. Zachary Reese is beating Sedrique Dumas, though. There's not a chance in hell Sedrique Dumas pulls this off, and I don't see it happening. Zachary Reese is too good. He's too polished. He's going to knock out Sedrique Dumas in the first round. The next fight of the night, we got Jesus Aguilar versus Luis Gurule. Both of these dudes coming off of losses in their last fight. Jesus Aguilar's the plus 165 underdog. And these guys must not know what's going on here. These guys must not have heard of Jesus Aguilar before. They must have not heard. Because this dude at the underdog price, absolutely undefeated. I remember when he was the underdog going into Stuart Nickel, AO. He was the underdog in that fight. Stuart Nickel had never fought in the company, and he got submitted, choked unconscious in about 30 seconds, I want to say. Luis Gurule got knocked out in his last fight. He got taken down 10 times on the Contender Series. 10 times on the Contender Series he got taken down. That is absolutely insane. Jesus Aguilar is going to knock out Luis Gurule in this fight, or submit him. There's no way this goes 3 rounds. Luis Gurule is the favorite here. They might know something I don't, but I think Jesus Aguilar is going to get this done inside the distance. Submission or KO in the first 2 rounds. Jesus Aguilar gets it done. That's the pick. We move on to the next fight, which is Tatianna Suarez versus Amanda Lemos. Kind of crazy this is on the prelims, I think. Like, Tatianna Suarez did just get outclassed in her last fight. Completely outclassed in her last fight. Like, crazy by Weili Zhang. People forget, man. Weili Zhang was an underdog. I'm pretty sure. Or close to being an underdog. But Lemos, she just beat Yasmin Lucindo in her last fight 5 months ago. Lost to Virna Jandiroba. I think Tatianna Suarez is getting set up to get a submission victory here. How many times has Lemos been submitted? Is it only the one? The two times. When was the other time? Jessica Andrade standing arm triangle. Okay. I think they are trying to set up Tatianna Suarez here to get a submission win over Lemos. Lemos is at the end of her career, 38 years old. You know, she's getting up there. Tatianna Suarez just got absolutely fraud checked by Weili Zhang. I don't want to call it a fraud check because it's Weili Zhang, but the amount of hype and like promotion she was getting was not fair to Weili Zhang at all. So I feel like fraud check might be the right word, but she's going to submit Amanda Lemos in this fight, I think. So I'll say Tatianna Suarez round 2 submission win over Amanda Lemos. Moving on to Claudio Puelles versus Joaquim Silva. Claudio Puelles lost his last 2 fights. Fares Ziam in his last fight. Dan Hooker knocked him out a fight before that. Joaquim Silva just lost to Drakkar Close a year and 4 months ago. He's not stayed that active. But Claudio Puelles also just fought a year and 6 months ago. So they've both not been active at all. 3-inch reach advantage for Claudio Puelles. This dude really has been inactive. Claudio Puelles is pretty good, though. He looked not bad against Ferreira. Went to a split decision. It was a close fight. I don't know. The Joaquim Silva is getting up there in age. He's nearly 37. Just lost to Drakkar Close in his last one. Drakkar Close just had a good win against Edson Barboza, though. Is that not... Like, that's kind of crazy. I don't know which way I'm going to go here. I think I might take the underdog of Claudio Puelles. I think I'm going to take him. If anyone's going to be having a career resurgence here, it's going to be Claudio Puelles. Slight reach advantage, slight height advantage. Definitely approaching like a physical prime. I don't want to say physical prime because he's had 2 losses in a row, but you never know. This could be the time where he puts it all together and starts going for a run. I think he's gonna beat Joaquim Silva in this fight. By decision, I'm gonna say. It's gonna be a close fight, back and forth. Joaquim Silva wins maybe the first round, but Claudio Puelles ends up edging the second and third. Decision victory for Claudio Puelles. Moving on to Jose Medina, Dusko, Todorvic. One person has to win this fight is the crazy thing. One of these guys is gonna have a win in 2025. And I just can't for the life of me pick Jose Medina. This dude is a walking punching bag. I get it. It's fun to watch him. But at a certain point, he's just getting beat up and he's asking for more. Dusko Todorvic is still pretty good. You know, he made Zachary Reese beat him up to a decision. It was a close fight. Monserrat Malik, that was like a round 2 KO, I want to say, in that fight. I think he's going to get this one done. Dusko Todorvic, way more UFC time. At least has won a fight in the UFC so far. Jose Medina has only looked like a punching bag, and he only continues to get matchups because he's fun to watch get beat up. Dusko Todorvic is going to win this fight by decision. I don't see him finishing this fight. I don't know. Jose Medina did get finished by Atiba Gauthier, but Gauthier is like a crazy power puncher. Dusko Todorvic by decision will be the pick. Moving on to the main card, Santiago Luna versus Quang Lee. Undefeated 6-0 Santiago Luna. Quang Lee 9-2. Just coming off of a win over Gaston Bolanos in his last fight. Rear naked choked him out. 21-year-old Santiago Luna versus 33-year-old Quang Lee. Now Santiago Luna, he looks pretty good. I can't lie. He does look pretty good. Watched a highlight reel of him that, I mean, he's knocking dudes out. He's choking them out, laying them flat as a board. He looks pretty good. 6-0. It's a good record. 21 years old. I don't know if I like him being 21 compared to 33-year-old Quang Lee. Quang Lee is a fully filled out frame at this point. But Santiago Luna, I'm not saying he's small. I'm not saying he's weak. He does look pretty strong, pretty physically imposing. But I think Quang Lee is going to be too much, too little, too soon, or too much too soon is the phrase I was going for there. And it's tough. He's Mexican home crowd. I do kind of want to pick him, I'm not going to lie. I don't think Quang Lee is incredible. But, I mean, Gaston Bolanos is a good win in the UFC. Gaston Bolanos is not a terrible fighter. Like, Gaston Bolanos has beat UFC caliber competition before. That's a pretty good win, I'm going to say. Gaston Bolanos, like, he's beat Aaron Phillips, Cortavius Romeus. I'm going to say Quang Lee wins this fight. by a decision. It'll be a close fight, most likely. Santiago Luna will have moments where you see why they signed him at 21 years old, but I think Quang Lee's going to outclass him a bit to a decision win here. And he has 100% takedown defense as well, so Santiago Luna's going to have a troubled time imposing his wrestling game, but his striking's still good. And he definitely does have the chance to knock out Quang Lee as well. I hope he does, but I think Quang Lee's going to win a decision. So that's going to be the pick. Moving on to Alexander Hernandez. I nearly said Aaron Hernandez. Alexander Hernandez versus Diego Ferreira. Rebooked fight. Pretty sure that, yeah, this was supposed to take place like last month, I'm pretty sure, right? No, what am I talking about? He was supposed to fight Bobby Green. He was supposed to fight Bobby Green last month, and instead he's fighting Alexander Hernandez. I can't pick Diego Ferreira. It's just not gonna happen. He's 40 years old, and I'm reimposing the 40-year-old fighter rule. I automatically cannot pick a 40-year-old fighter. It's against the rules. He's too old. He's regressing at this point in his career, and I get it. He's still looking pretty good against Mateusz Rebecki, Michael Johnson. Those are actually pretty good wins. Those are aging pretty good now. I am gonna wow. Those are actually pretty good wins. 2-inch reach advantage on Alexander Hernandez. And Alexander Hernandez is on a crazy run too. Like, if he goes 4 fights in a row in 2025, that's even more incredible. I'm not gonna lie. But he's going to do it. Alexander Hernandez is going to get this one done. He's going to find the way. His striking looked really good in his last fight. He just knocked out Chase Hooper less than a month ago. Took no damage. But that's a short training camp. This is a short notice fight. Both of these dudes don't really have a training camp, though. And Diego Ferreira was cutting weight for that Bobby Green fight when it got called off. I can't remember why it got called off. Alexander Hernandez is going to win this fight by decision. That's going to be the pick. Moving on to the next fight of the night, which is Kelvin Gastelum versus Dustin Stoltzfus. 19-10 Kelvin Gastelum, 16-7 Dustin Stoltzfus. 4-inch reach advantage for Dustin Stoltzfus. Kelvin Gastelum just got beat up to a decision against Joe Pyfer. There was moments where it looked like he could have got knocked out. Finish didn't happen, obviously. This is kind of a tough one. A tough one to call, because I don't really rate Kelvin Gastelum at all in 2025. I think he's a little bit overrated. I'm not sure. Kelvin Gastelum's going to win this fight. He's at a higher level than Dustin Stoltzfus. 4-inch reach advantage, I mean, that's sizable. But Kelvin Gastelum, he's going to show those levels. And he's going to take home a decision victory. That's going to be the pick against Kelvin Gastelum against Dustin Stoltzfus. He's going to grind out a decision victory. Man, some of these fights aren't actually that good. Kelvin Gastelum, Dustin Stoltzfus, I don't really love that fight. Jared Gordon, Rafa Garcia is the next fight up the card. Again, I mean, Jared Gordon just had a pretty crazy knockout over Thiago Moises. Rafa Garcia just beat Vince Pichel. That's actually a really good win he had over Thiago Moises. He flatlined him out cold for like a minute or two. Pretty good win. And I'm going to say Jared Gordon gets this one done over Rafa Garcia. I don't really like Rafa Garcia that much. I don't think he's incredible. He got TKO'd on the ground against Grant Dawson. Like, how do you do that? How don't you even last to a decision against Grant Dawson? That's kind of sad. I think Jared Gordon is going to win this fight. People forget, man, this guy beat Paddy Pimblett by a loss on the split decision. So I think he's going to get this one done over Rafa Garcia. Going to show off his striking skills, and he's going to score. Fuck it. a TKO victory. Why not? In the second round over Rafa Garcia. Why not? You know? Why can't he? Moving on to the co-main event, Rob Font versus David Martinez. This is a short notice fight. 12-1 David Martinez. 22-8 Rob Font. 4-inch reach disadvantage for David Martinez. That's kind of sizable. But Rob Font is 38 years old. David Martinez, 27 years old. David Martinez's striking is incredible. He just knocked out Simon Oliveira in his last fight. But I feel like this is too much too soon. You know, Rob Font is a step above Simon Oliveira. This dude is the perennial gatekeeper in the bantamweight division. You know, if you beat Rob Font, you're going towards the title. And this fight got made last week, I'm pretty sure. Like, last week. If anyone's going to win a fight on short notice, it's going to be Rob Font, not David Martinez. You know, this dude has high-level losses. Losing to Davison Figueiredo, Corey Sanhagen, Marlon Vera, Jose Aldo. These aren't bad losses. Rafael Sunshao. Like, I would love to ride David Martinez. Ayo. I would love to ride the train. I would love to pick David Martinez and for him to get it done. But I don't see him winning this fight. Like, I think he needs a KO win if he gets this one done. Fuck. It's going to be too much too soon. Rob Font is winning this fight by decision over David Martinez. That's the pick. And we move on to what we all came here to see. Diego Lopes versus Gene Silva in the main event. Oh man. 26-7 Diego Lopes, 16-2 Gene Silva. Diego Lopes coming off of a loss to Alexander Volkanovski. And Gene Silva coming off of a win over Bryce Mitchell. Undefeated in the UFC. Both 5 wins in the UFC, which I thought was interesting. I thought Gene Silva only had 4, but it seems like they pushed him pretty hard since he debuted. It's been Weston Wilson. It's been Radke. It's been... Or not Radke. Radke was Protez. That's a different division. It was Jourdain, Drew Dober, Bagdasarian, Bryce Mitchell, Weston Wilson. And Diego Lopes, I mean, Volkanovski, Brian Ortega, and Dan Ige are pretty good wins. The Dan Ige win was... There's an asterisk there, you know? It was a short notice, weird weight caveat thing where Dan Ige stepped in because Brian Ortega, who originally was going to fight him at 145, who then made the fight 155, who then didn't even make weight, had to pull out of the fight. Dan Ige stepped in on catch weight at 165, and Diego Lopes weighed in again for the fight the day of, hours before the fight, after he already weighed in twice before. So he weighed in 3 times in total for that fight, and still beat Dan Ige on short notice, up 2 weight divisions, you know? Beat Brian Ortega. Beat the fuck out of Brian Ortega. Like, beat the fuck out of him. Bullied Brian Ortega in that fight. The fact that he didn't finish it doesn't really matter to me because he beat the fuck out of Brian Ortega. And he won every single round of that fight. Didn't gas out. Showed good cardio. I don't think cardio is an issue for Diego Lopes. What I think the issue is that he crashes forward. What he needs to do to beat Gene Silva is he really needs to rely on his leg kicks, and he needs to rely on feints before he blasts in. He needs to get Gene Silva thinking he's doing one thing and he's going to do something else. Because if he just crashes in the way that he is kind of known for, Gene Silva's going to knock him out with the left check hook. And I don't want that to happen. I want Diego Lopes to win this fight. He's a plus 240 underdog. I'm picking Diego Lopes to win this fight. I get it. I look insane. Gene Silva definitely, on paper, he's the more polished fighter. He's winning the outside foot battle. That's not a debate here. He's winning the outside foot battle. Gene Silva, his footwork's a bit better, you know? But I think Diego Lopes is a bit grittier. We haven't seen Gene Silva tested the way we've seen Diego Lopes tested in the UFC. But he lost to Joanderson Brito. He lost to Movsar Evloev. I understand the odds. I completely understand the odds because he's lost to some of these high-level guys. Movsar Evloev was able to get it done. He was winning on the feet against Diego Lopes too, but that was a short notice fight, so I will attribute part of the performance to that. And Joanderson Brito was fouling him in that fight, so I will attribute that to that. The Volkanovski one, Volkanovski is the best. He's one of the GOATs, you know. He's one of the pound-for-pound best fighters of all time. And I'll attribute that loss to that. Even though I was picking Diego Lopes to win that fight, I've never picked against Diego Lopes. I've never picked against Gene Silva. So for me to pick against either one of these guys is insanely difficult. I've been going back and forth on who I wanted to pick in this fight for so long. It's got to be Diego Lopes, especially at that price tag. It's worth it. This dude has the same, like, he's got power too. I feel like he's being slept on a bit. I get it. Gene Silva looks good. I get it. Diego Lopes crashes in. I don't think he's going to be that stupid. He knows what to expect out of Gene Silva. I don't think he's just going to crash into a left hook and knock himself out. I think Diego Lopes knows what he's getting into. I think Gene Silva emotes too much. He's too unfocused in the fights. He's too wild. And he's going to get clipped by an uppercut, left hook, and put out in the third round of this fight by an either knockout or he'll follow up with a submission. Diego Lopes is finishing Gene Silva, and he's finishing the Fighting Nerds who already got their lunch money taken last week by a bunch of Paris Frenchmen. So I think Diego Lopes is going to be able to take this one and finish off the Fighting Nerds. One more blow, one more nail in the coffin. Diego Lopes wins this fight. Third round finish over Gene Silva. That's the pick. Let me know what you guys think. We'll be back here for Canelo Crawford. I need to get a breakdown out of that. I'll try to get that done before Saturday. So look out for that. Dana White Contender Series picks will be coming very soon. Look out for that too. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Have a good one.